In today's video, I want to talk about the holding company, which is a very powerful vehicle that we should all be using, not just as business entrepreneurs, but as investors, especially if you have goals at some point to not just build wealth, but to get off the hamster wheel of having to run the day-to-day operations of your business. And this is why I want to have this conversation in today's video. Now, before I get into the details, you already know what it is. I need you to hit the like button. I need you to drop a comment. Let me know what our channel has been doing to bring you value for what we teach here on this channel, and be sure that you are subscribed and your notification bells are on. Now, back to this concept of the holding company. First and foremost, a holding company is going to be set up and structured like any other LLC. One of the basic differences is when you're filing and forming the paperwork, there's just some specific language you're going to use to ensure that you are categorizing it specifically as a holding company. So that's on the Secretary of State level, and that's going to be on the IRS level when you file for your EIN. Once you have those legal documents filed and formed, you draft your operating agreement. You're going to add the language in there. But even with that being done and with the bank account open, you still have to run the day-to-day operations of this entity that you're now calling a holding company. This is where a lot of entrepreneurs and investors start glitching. Why? Because for the most part, we understand that the primary purpose, I want to make that clear, the primary purpose of a holding company is to literally hold assets. Now, there are so many different assets, most of which the everyday entrepreneur and investor doesn't think of. And I don't have time in this video to get through all of them. But even inside of our course and the workshops that I use to teach my mentees, we identify over 30 different assets that you should use to accumulate inside of your holding company and acquire for your holding company. Why? Because the primary purpose of this LLC that you say is your holding company is to hold assets. That's what the primary purpose is, which means in a perfect world, your day-to-day operational activities should only, in a perfect world, exist within what you're doing to manage this entity. Now, we're not in a perfect world, and we have other businesses that we run every day, businesses that sell products, businesses that provide a service. But we want those businesses to be owned by the holding company. Why? Because even though the primary purpose of the holding company is to hold these assets, whether they are operational businesses or many other assets, we know there's a hidden purpose that on the surface you and no one else sees. So what is that exactly is that hidden purpose? I'm going to use a term to help you understand what that hidden purpose is. That hidden purpose is centered around your exit strategy, because most business entrepreneurs are stuck and imprisoned running the day-to-day operations of the businesses that pays their bills, the businesses that offer products and that provide services. So I see this all the time as a consultant. The individual that I consult, even if we sit down and restructure and organize their entities, they set up the holding company or the hold co, that's short for holding company. We restructure their organizational enterprise, and now they have the businesses under it that provide the services and sells the products. P is for products, S is for service. But this same individual every day has to come off of what they would like to do in the perfect world. Why? Because they've got to run the day-to-day operations of these entities because that's what we as business entrepreneurs know to do. My belief is that if you can change your mind like you change this entity structure, you will exit the day-to-day operational activities of this much quicker. So again, the primary purpose of this entity is to hold. A lot of times we don't start just using it to hold so that we can accumulate and acquire assets. We set it up, we get the paperwork, we set up the bank accounts, we get our EINs, and then we go back to pushing products and selling services, never thinking about how do we leverage our jobs here instead of working harder here. So whatever the case is, I want you to understand that there has to be an exit strategy. When are and how are you going to get off the hamster wheel of doing this and start doing this? Most likely, if you're not educated, if you're not mentored, if you don't have the experience, and if you're not around people who are understanding the ins and outs of how to exit this role and to enter this role and stay there permanently, you're going to continue to just spin that hamster wheel. So I would love to take a few minutes to speak to you. We're currently, as of the time of this video, it's the beginning of 2025, and we're currently offering, literally with no obligation, free one-on-one coaching sessions. Now, it's not going to be no long, drawn-out, extended session, but we'll take maybe 10, 15 minutes or so to sit down with you, to look over what it is that you are intending to do, especially if this is a picture that you have for yourself and for your enterprise, and we'll give you some direction on what you need to do. And maybe if you are open, we have an amazing mentorship program and educational program. It's all in one, called the Millionaire Blueprint. This is an amazing program that we host weekly coaching calls. We answer your questions. We have a community of people. Most of the people in this community that have been there for some time, they already have their holding company set up. They already have their subsidiary set up. They already have their minds reorganized, prepared to manage the asset of the holding company while the holding company manages the assets of these other operating businesses. And guess what? I want to see you exit the role of being a laborer, an operator, and a CEO, and I want to see you enter the role of being a holding company owner and asset manager who's expanding and taking their enterprise to the next level. So you need that free complimentary coaching session. Click the link in the description, complete the consulting assessment form, and one of my team members will reach back out to you, schedule the initial call so that we can take a few minutes, flesh out what you're doing, and help you get to where you're going. I'll see you in the next video.